Some 10 years ago, I was asked by Nigel and Xan to work with them on their garden in London. It was fantastic to work with them because they're so passionate about what they want to do in their garden and how they wanted it to be. So we approached their garden in two distinctive halves. The first half was the front, which we left largely the same, with an entrance exit for the drive and cars. At the back, a long, thin rectangle was already on 2 or 3 layers. We divided this long rectangle up into threes. The first section nearest the house, we put in a barbecue, a dining area, a summer house, a water feature, structural clipped hedging, and masses and masses of herbaceous planting, one of Xan's favourite elements of a garden. In the middle section, we transitioned from the front to the back, and at the back section, there was a wild meadow with masses of orchard planting, and down the side was a linking path with overarching hedging which linked the whole space together. And this garden's very like a Chelsea Flower Show garden in shape. The Chelsea Flower Show garden, as you may know, is 23 metres long by 10 metres, and it's a wonderful opportunity and privilege to exhibit at Chelsea Flower Show, working with your sponsor. It's an enormous pressure because you want to do well for yourself, for the studio, but also for your sponsor. And it was lovely to have Xan and Nigel come and visit a few of our gardens over the years. And I now hand you back to Xan, who will show you better than me around her garden.
Hi, I'm Jan Brandon, and this is our garden, 15 The Avenue in Cheam. We've been here for about 15 years. When we moved to the house, we found that we were only using the area immediately by the house. The arrangement of the garden was such that we didn't use really the rest of it. So the first thing we wanted to do was put in a garden room so that we could use the garden more of the time. And that's what we started with. We sourced that, and then we thought we'd perhaps have a bit of decking around it, and then it sort of grew a bit like Topsy. We were introduced to Marcus Barnett by a designer that we'd used in the house, and he came and looked at the space, and as he said, it was a blank canvas. There really wasn't anything here other than the levels. So working with a designer is a sort of two-way process. He asks you what you want, how you want to use the garden, what functionality you need from it, also anything that you do or don't want. The only thing that we did want to keep was the levels. Somebody had spent quite a lot of money terracing the garden, and we felt that we didn't want to take that away and replace it with something else. So he worked within the levels and put in all the structure. The beech columns, the beech hedging, the silver birch, which was the thing that we wanted. We'd already seen the silver birch we liked, but everything else Marcus came up with. Well, my very favourite space in the garden is the path that leads from the terrace. When Marcus put it in, his idea of the paths was that they were 2 people, gin and tonic in hand, wide. And I think that's a problem that lots of people do. They don't make their paths wide enough. And once you've got plants either side, perhaps encroaching onto the path, you find that there's only room for one person to sort of wiggle through. So I think if nothing else, take this, have your paths wider than you think you need. One of the features of the garden is a collection of hostas. I had a very special birthday a number of years ago, and we visited Chelsea, and there was a special offer on a hosta stand to have one of each of the ones on the stand, and that was 90 hostas. So they've taken a bit of time to get quite where they are, but some of them are looking really good now. In fact, they're so big in the pots that sometimes I have to break a pot to get them out if I want to repot them. We've been opening our garden for the NGS. We've done 5 years. Obviously this would have been our 6th year, and normally we open at the end of May, around about Chelsea time, because that's when we look good. We really enjoy it. I think the first time you open, great deal of trepidation. You're not quite sure what you're going to get. There's a standard expected, and you do feel that you have to live up to it, but you get a bit more relaxed after you've done it a couple of times. We like to share our garden. It's nice to talk to not only people who are beginners or novices or possibly don't even have a garden, able to share our space with them, and it's also quite nice for people who are experienced gardeners. You can always get tips. They They tell you about things, you tell them about things. I think the Hostas are always the one that they talk about. It's really nice opening for the NGS because the money goes to very worthwhile causes. The majority goes to nursing charities, hospice, cancer, and that touches all of us. So there's normally a charity that the NGS gives to that you have a personal experience with.